Good evening, good evening, good evening. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Back with another episode. Thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I got off early today. The work came to a screeching halt as predicted. I was hoping it wouldn't get to this point. I was hoping, you know, but it didn't. So, on the count of three, 1, 2, 3. That's what you voted for. Anyway, that's not what this is about. And if I didn't say thank you for tuning in, let me say it now. Thank you. I appreciate it, as always. Now, this particular topic or video is how I've been feeling for a very long time now, and I mean years. And whenever I feel like this, I'll go read this book. I'm not going to tell y'all what the book is. I'm just going to see if you can figure it out. But I'm sure a lot of y'all will figure it out. Some very smart people follow me. I got some idiots on here, some trolls, whatever. But the majority of y'all are very smart. And I'm sure y'all will figure out what book this is. But I'm not going to tell you. But I always feel like this. And exactly how I'm feeling is in this book. Telling me how I feel. And this is a book that's older than me. It was written before I was born, but yet it's telling me how I feel today, even though it was written before I was born. And I can relate to this, and a lot of y'all will be able to relate to it too. I'm just going to read this book. That's the video. I'm just reading the book to you. Just read. That's it. And I'm going to let the thoughts of the book take over. Because the thoughts of this book are also my thoughts and how I feel about life. I call it pissing in the wind. The book don't say that, but that's what I call it. Now let's get into it. It starts off by saying, everything is meaningless. The words of the teacher. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labor at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear is full of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. Wisdom is meaningless. I, the teacher, I applied my mind to study and to explore by wisdom all that is done under the heavens. What a heavy burden God has laid on mankind. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, look, I have increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ever ruled before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly. But I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. Hold on, let me get to the next one. All right. Next chapter. Pleasures are meaningless. I said to myself, come now, I would test you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved meaningless. Laughter, I said, is madness. And what does pleasure accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine. Hold on. I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly, which is fun. My mind still guiding me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was good for people to do under the heavens during the few days of their lives. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. In case y'all didn't know, there's somebody who had great wealth to do any and everything they wanted to do in life. This is the opinion and the view, not of a poor person, but of someone who had means and access to do whatever they wanted to do and still came up with the same conclusion as the rest of us. It's all meaningless. So it ain't just cause you poor, struggling, can't pay your bills, don't worry about this. It ain't just that. This person here that wrote this book, great wealth. Now, I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves. I had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself, and the treasure of kings and kingdoms. I acquired male and female singers, and a harem as well. The delights of a man's heart. He did not deny himself any pleasure, anything on this earth that we think would bring you pleasure. He had it. I became greater by far than anyone before me. In all this, my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself nothing my eye desired. Anything he saw that he wanted, he got it. I refused my heart no pleasure. Any pleasure he wanted to do, he did it, from women to whatever. any pleasure, he did not deny himself. And he had access to all pleasure on earth. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my work. Yet, when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had worked to achieve, everything was meaningless. Chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Therefore, wisdom and folly are meaningless. In other words, being wise is meaningless. Being a fool is meaningless. I call it pissing in the wind. He called it chasing after the wind. Whether you're wise, you're no better off than the fool. And the fool is no better off than the wise man in this life. Wisdom and folly are both meaningless. Then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what has already been done? I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. The wise have eyes in their heads while the fools walk in the darkness. But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. He saw that wisdom, being wise, is better than being a fool. But at the same time, the same fate comes to them both. Then I said to myself, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. Me being wise, you being a fool, and we're going to both end up with the same fate. Whatever happened to the fool, going to happen to the wise man. What then do I gain by being wise? I said to myself, this too is meaningless. For the wise, like the fool, will not be long remembered. The days have already come when both have been forgotten. Like the fool, the wise too must die. Your wisdom does not bring you more time on the earth, no more than the fool. You both will die. Are we having fun yet? So the next chapter, he says, work is meaningless. So I hated life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless. A chasing after wind. I say pissing in the wind. I hated all the things I had worked for under the sun because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And who knows whether that person will be wise or foolish. Yet they will have control over all the fruit of my hard work, in which I have poured my effort and skill. You know, those rich people that leave their wealth to the kid and the kids blow it. And it took the rich person their whole life to build it, and then the child come along and just pew, blow it. This too is meaningless. So my heart began to despair over all my hard labor under the sun. For a person may labor with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then they must leave all they own to another who has not done nothing for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune. What do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun. All their days, their work is grief and pain. Even at night, their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless. A person can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own work. This too, I see, is from the hand of God. For without him, who can eat or find enjoyment? To the person who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the wrongdoer, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, chasing after the wind. Having fun yet? Can anybody relate to that? I'm not going to tell you the name of the book, and I'm quite sure y'all already know what it is. And everything was talking to me, reading my mind, like somebody knew me when they wrote that book. Somebody knew me before I knew me. I'm reading a book that was written about me years ago, before I was even thought of, by my mother and father. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I've been feeling for years. And I happened to run across that book, and I read it. And it lets me know that I'm not the only one. And I'm here to let you know that you're not the only one that feels the way you feel when you feel like you're just pissing in the wind. When you feel like everything you're doing, all your hard work, all your determination, all your pain, all your suffering, I feel like you're just pissing in the wind. It's for nothing. When you have days where life has no meaning, just know you're not alone. There was a king that once walked this earth that had access to any and everything he wanted. And you may be somebody struggling to pay your light bill. You might be homeless right now. But there was a king that walked this earth, had more than anybody ever had before him or came after him. And if you haven't figured out by now what book it is and what king it was, King Solomon, the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible. No, I'm not a big Bible thumper or a religious so-and-so. Y'all know how I feel about the Bible because I've said it 1,000 times before. I believe some of them have been tampered with. But I also know that a lot of it is right on point. You can feel when it's right and when it's wrong. I feel like God will talk to you and tell you, hey, this is some bull. I didn't put that down. The Spirit of God will talk to you and tell you. That's just my view. Because when I read what I just read to y'all, it resonates with me. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, I know God said that. And then another part in there says, honor your slave master. God didn't say that. That's just my view, but hey, we ain't gonna go off into that right now. But in case you didn't know, the book was out of the Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes, 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 1, 2, and 3, if you want to read it for yourself. The NIV version, I don't like King James. Pissin in the wind is what I call it. King Solomon said something different. I call it pissing in the wind, because that's how I feel every day for years. And I've said it a million times on here. The more knowledge you get, the more grief and sorrow. The more you know, the more you understand, the sadder you get, to where now it feels like the more you know, you were better off when you ain't know nothing. You were better off when you was a fool. At least the fool ain't sitting around worried all the time. We both gonna die. The fool and the wise man gonna end up in the same place. But yet the wise man, most of his life was spent with sorrow, grief, and pain. And the fool, he don't know what's going on no way, so he too stupid to even worry about it. So who better off? The wise man with all his knowledge and wisdom and understanding, but yet he's sad and worrying? Or the fool who don't know nothing, but him not knowing nothing is also him not worrying about nothing? Who's better off? Sometimes I feel like I'd rather be the fool. Because it's all pissing in the wind. Get it, got it good. Bye.